to discuss about Indian pharmaceutical exports and the futuristic approach and the challenges. But due to elections, we thought whatever you speak it's not going to. If you say our exports are growing, that may be interpreted in a different way, attaching to somebody. So we thought we have not. Yes. At the same time, I would like to thank all the friends from the media. They are regularly reporting and giving importance to the issues which are very much relevant to the focusing and speaking on one topic. We thought the Indian pharma exports, futuristic opportunities and challenges. The Indian pharmaceutical exports, you know that it was in 2004-2005, it was 3.9 billion when Pharmaceuticals Export Promotion Council of India was formed. In a span of 20 years, we reached to 27.85 billion, the CAGR of 11%. If you are all aware of that, Indian pharmaceutical industry is predominantly a generic producer. The global generics are growing in 5%, but we are continuously growing. Actually, in the past 20 years, the CAGR is 11%, and particularly the post-pandemic, there are so many headwinds and so many regulatory challenges and the global environment, and there are so many factors to have a negative impact on the manufacturing sector, not only pharmaceuticals. So despite that, financial year 24, we recorded 9.6% growth. So as per we are also looking for an outlook of financial year 25 is 31 billion. And very recently, Ernst & Young and FICCI, they conducted a study report, and it is estimated 130 billion by 2030. We are expecting that global generic market is expected 614 billion by 2030. So, even though we are calling ourselves as a pharmacy of the world, and as you are aware of that, our largest exporting destination is NAFTA. Out of that, our exports of more than 31.35% to USA. There was a negative growth 3 years back in the exports to US. Financial year 24, our exports have recorded 15.66% growth rate. There are so many inspections are happening, and the negative propaganda is also happening, and a lot of inspections are also taking place, and there are so many challenges. Despite that, when the highly regulated countries like US, we recorded more than 15% growth. It's very significant, and it has contributed the Indian pharmaceuticals to grow with this 9.6% growth rate. In this financial year 25, in April, May, we have already recorded nearly 9% growth rate. We are expecting that this will be continued in the days to come. As far as our exports are concerned, in value terms, we are growing, but it has created a dent on our image. Our exports are growing, But the incidence of that DEG has created some sort of a disturbance, particularly in the African countries. They're asking us we are calling it as a pharmacy of the world, and there are this kind of an issues how we are going to face. The Drugs Control General of India is taking all the necessary steps. The one is that any cough syrup is being exported from India, they should be tested before shipping. That he has introduced that, and he has also notified the government testing laboratories and other testing laboratories. The another one is that the government of India has announced the upgradation of Schedule M. Schedule M, actually the draft was published in 2018, but it was delayed. But post these disturbances, the government moved in a faster way, and the Schedule M is amended, and they have given from July 1st of 2024, for the big industry has to implement, they have given 6 months time, January, and from 2025, January 1st, the MSMEs also has to comply that. This will create some sort of a positive trend in the global scenario. You are all.
Schedule M guidelines?
Yes, sir. Schedule M is good manufacturing practices. They upgraded please very serious impact in the days to come. So we are not the only country who is manufacturing generic formulations. There are other countries like Bangladesh having the delicacy status. They are also coming up, and China is also working in that as of now. China is very strong in active pharmaceutical ingredients and key starting materials and intermediates. They are also shifting their focus on the formulations. So unless otherwise you correct yourselves, you have to upgrade to meet the global requirements. At the same time, we not only confine to manufacture the conventional generic drugs, we have to focus on the research and innovation. As you all know that most of the Indian companies, even though they are very big, they are not spending that much of money on the research and innovation. If you compare with the global spending on research and innovation, India is at the rock bottom. Right? When you compare with countries like Europe, US, including the China, so we need to focus on that. Then only you can sustain and you can retain the image of the pharmacy of the world. So, we are telling the government that you need to support the industry, particularly in the research and innovation. You need to spend a lot of money on this. So that unfortunately it's not happening. That is to be done. Otherwise, take for example the Katos Committee. Katos Committee in 2015 has said that there is a crying need to develop the indigenous active pharmaceutical industry. But we have waited till 2021. They came up with that PLI scheme. The study was conducted by Pharmaceuticals Export Promotion Council of India with the support of National Research Institution, NCL Pune, IICT, Dr. Reddy's Life Sciences, and some manufacturers organizations and some think tank. We use some think tank. So we contribute and we identify the products where we are largely dependent on China and which are being used in the essential drugs. So basing on that, Department of Pharmaceuticals came up with the PLI scheme. So that PLI scheme started giving some sort of a results actually. Take for example, penicillin G. Penicillin G is being used in so many antibiotics. We are 95% we are importing. So a couple of Indian companies have started the penicillin G manufacturing sites. One company is without this PLI support. One company has started penicillin G with 750 crores investment, And the another company is one of the big companies in India. They spend 500 crores and they are also coming up with this. This kind of critical products and our thirst to develop these products not only meet the domestic requirement, it will also make us to be an exporter. You are, please.
You were talking about the dent it has made on our export. Have you quantified how much had these kind of incidents not happened? What would our exports have been in this last
FY20, it was happened in FY22 or 23. 22. But if you see in terms of value terms, there is no impact. But you can't quantify always with the value terms. But particularly before that incident, wherever you are going, into the regulated market, Germany or any other country, everybody speaks very good about and very high about Indian pharmaceuticals, producing the quality drugs at a very affordable price, and you are doing a tremendous job, they used to tell. Particularly after this Gambia issue and Uzbekistan issue, people started asking us, how? That I feel once it is connected to the deaths of the children. You may export 50 billion, but losing a child's life is more serious. That's why I'm telling you that it has made a dent on our image. The image built up from time to time. We are responsible in saving millions of population from the dreaded diseases like tuberculosis, malaria, HIV in Africa. So everybody talks about India, Indian capitalism and Indian drugs and its quality. But particularly this Gambia and Uzbekistan and the alerts from different countries and WHO alert has made, you are in a defensive position. You may say that, our exports are growing and by 2030 we are going to be 130 billion market. But this is going to be a scar on your face. So that's what I mean to say. We are
also, sir, you said segment jobs are dedicated to pharma. What kind of Indian market?
To do what you are doing now may be irrelevant tomorrow. So some countries are focusing more on research and innovation. I take for example the total pharmaceutical market is 1.49 trillion. 1.49 trillion. Out of that, our share is only 53 billion. So there is a huge gap. If you see the total Indian pharmaceutical exports, some of the companies who are based in Switzerland, their companies, and one company's annual turnover is sometimes more than our exports. So we need to switch on to the value-based products, and that is where the biosimilars and complex generics, and these are the areas where we need to. Government also need to support this particular area, and they have to. For manufacturing generics and manufacturing APIs. So the industry is strong enough to develop on their own. But particularly in developing the biosimilars and research and innovation, it needs a lot of money and nobody knows that when that product is commercially viable or not. Further, they need the support. Take for example, earlier it was MEIS we used to have. In 1819 financial year, the Indian pharmaceutical companies has availed 3,060 crore Indian rupees under MEIS scheme. So we lost the case in WTO and MEIS is withdrawn and the RODTEP is introduced. Initial 2 years RODTEP was not given to Pharma and Steel. Now they have given, but this 3,060 is a big money they used to get. One company based in Hyderabad, they used to get more than 200 crores under MEIS scheme. So if you wanted to compete with the other countries, so we need to upgrade our systems, we need to be more into the research and innovation. And we are also organizing, you know, that in IFEX, International Exhibition on Pharma and Healthcare, that is going to be held in Delhi in August 28th, 29th, 30th. The nearly 440 Indian companies are displaying their the products, and more than 500 overseas delegates are coming representing 130 countries. That is going to be very helpful for the Indian pharmaceutical industry. And if you see the challenges, particularly the pre-COVID and post-COVID. Pre-COVID, people used to buy medicine in different countries, and they are not that bothered about the situation. It will only delay our costing. Post-COVID, every country wanted to develop their own industry. The localization, everybody is talking about this. So dependency is to be reduced. How we are talking about the self-reliance, every country is talking about the self-reliance and the localization. If anything happens, you know, in some of the countries, even India also, during the pandemic, we banned export of a few drugs, and export of vaccines also we stopped. So every country, including not only the small countries, including the European countries and US, they are talking about developing their own industry. That localization is going to be one of the biggest challenges for the Indian exporters. So the big companies also starting their facilities outside India. Take for example, there is a mutual recognition agreement between EU and US. If Indian company start their facility in Europe, so they can export to without any inspection. They have a mutual recognition agreement with USA. If I start in USA, I can do this. So big companies are diverting, and that is going to be one of the biggest challenges for the Indian exporters. Unless otherwise you realize that. So the basic principle of business is to have profits. So whether you are going to get profits in India or in Europe or in China is different. Indian companies have their facilities in China, Indian big companies. They're working there, and their objective is that, you know, if I have China is the largest generic market in the world. It's 180. Yeah, 246 billion is the Chinese generic market. So naturally, our people wanted to manufacture there and do the business. So like this, you know, we need to develop a strategy in such a way that we need to work in a different way, out of box thinking we need to have. Delay for announcing the PLIC, and delay is that, you know, the increased scrutiny by global regulatory agencies. So there's so much of reporting, and the companies are also reporting to the stock exchanges that, you know, they are inspected, they issued 483s and product recalls and all. So this is one of the biggest challenges from the regulatory side. Even the customer audits are happening, and the countries like Ghana and the countries like Uzbekistan and the countries, small countries also, they are coming for an inspection. So these inspections are adding cost, delays, and some of the manufacturers are telling that, you know, the US FDA is coming without intimation. You should be prepared to face the inspection. When India have highest number of US FDA approved sites, more than 748, naturally the inspections will be more. Not that they are against India. A WHO DG says something, have highest number of US FDA approved sites, inspections will be more. So you need to be ready to face the inspections and to make use of the market opportunities. That's what I'm telling. The positive trend is that, you know, the growth rate of 15.66% in US the financial year 24 is a very positive side. The shortages in US, that has also contributed for our exports, particularly the lifestyle diseases like diabetes, hypertension, depression, and all these drugs. When you are manufacturing and supplying at lower price, so the same drug is manufactured in Europe or US, it adds 30 to 35% to the costing. So when the developed countries have stopped, and we got an opportunity to fill that gap. I think in the days to come, we need to not only depend on these kind of opportunities, we need to knock the opportunities and we have to create the opportunities. Geopolitical tensions, except Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia-Ukraine conflict, our exports are 1.2 billion to the entire CIS. Out of that, 60% we used to export to Russia. So Russia is growing in a negative from the past 2-3 years. I was in Russia last 10-15 days back. Earlier we were thinking that the geopolitical crisis have created this negative growth. But when I had serious meetings for almost 2-3 days with different people and also with our own missions and experts, localization is one of the factors. They are also coming with Pharma Policy 2030. In that, they wanted to have a full cycle manufacturing. So from manufacture of API to the finished product, they are giving some sort of an incentives, and particularly in the government procurement, they are giving preference. So that is the reason why experts are telling that your negative growth, just you can't connect with the geopolitical crisis or the war between Russia and Ukraine. This is the localization is one of the factors. Yeah, the policies. Every country is talking about. One should realize one thing: geopolitical issues are different from the business and trade. So if you connect, there are geopolitical issues between China and US, but they are doing very good business. So if you connect the geopolitical issues with the business, we are going to have its impact. So that is when we analyze the data, there are sanctions against Russia by the Europe and US and their allied forces, allied countries. If you see their import data, they are still, Pharma is exempted as per UN Charter and health services in Pharma. Still they are getting major imports from these Europe and Western countries. So our proposal to Russia is that now, instead of remaining you as a trader, you need to have a collaboration. We need to identify the strengths of that countries and your strengths. We mutually support each other. Take for example vaccines. During the pandemic, we developed our indigenous vaccine. And Russia also developed Sputnik. They also collaborated with Hetero, Dr. Reddy's, and Panacea. And so that kind of a collaboration is needed. We imported vaccines from Indonesia also. And Indonesia needs our API support. So if you think that you can manufacture everything, it is not going to happen. And it is going to be a counter product. We have to depend on the expertise of others. That is the global order.
Sir, but the API, the US taking API
to have the business, but there is an opportunity. If you take our ANDAs approved in US, are going to be very helpful. And we may get good opportunity for blockbuster drugs.
You specifically said Indian pharmaceutical companies.
30%. Yeah.
We are assuming that 30% of our ANDAs are from India. If you take that half-patented total value, so India may have this opportunity, but you may have and you may not have. But
Can be more than that.
yeah, can be more than that.
Sir, your data also contains CDMO part of the operations of the pharmaceutical industry.
Services. That is taken care by Services Export Promotion Council. We are not.
Not covered under this.
Yeah.
So this 31 billion expected number is not covered with the
No.
CDMO.
This is only pharma and allied products.
Sir, do you have any estimation on how much the CDMO share is?
No, I have no idea, sir.
Sir, this tax.
The CDSCO has issued permission for 90 biosimilars. 98 biosimilar permits. That is the highest in this region. The biosimilar cost, and it's a high value product, and at the same time, Penji, take for example, the two companies I am talking about, and they have created huge facilities. The 50% of their capacities are surplus after meeting the domestic need. If you export that 50% of that Penji, that is going to create a new opportunity for India. So I think that's.
This year's targets, export target set by the government.
This financial year there is 29.
You are expecting that it will surpass.
It will cross. That's what I think.
Government is consciously
Promisements, but actually the target, how I can reach the target. It's the export when it comes, It's all depends on the importing country's policies and the domestic industry capacity. The target, just to have an idea, if it's a government scheme, I am going to give this 5,000 crores to pharmaceutical industry. Then we can say that, it is in their hand. But the export, it all depends on the importing country's policies, depending on the situation. But they are giving target, till 2047 they have given target.
So they are coming to imports, track imports also, sir.
Yes, and we so.
Is it coming down with
No,
because you have mentioned that
yes.
Shortage.
There is a minute growth, 1.98%. But if you compare with the financial year 21-22, it was 971 million. Financial year 24, it is 8264. There is a reduction in the imports. If you see compare with the financial year 24, at the same time, the imports from China is not decreased. It's not decreased. Basically, we should understand one thing. China is very strong in API, KSMs, and chemical industry. They are supplying to the entire world. So as long as you are not able to manufacture the products in a large scale and the niche products, so you have to depend on somebody. But this PLI scheme is going to help in the days to come. It's not going to address the issue instantly, but in the days to come, certainly it will help us. The Penji is one example. Paracetamol, the PLI scheme is a positive step, but at the same time, it needs a lot of reforms also, the changes. Pricing, take for example, what China is doing now. If you are manufacturing that API and they are increasing the price of key starting materials. If you are manufacturing, they have that say and they have that capacity. Let us not go very seriously into that. Is their capacity. Formulation, manufacturing, and supplying to the entire world is our capacity. So, in the coming days, we need to go out of that focused on Latin America. Now we are focusing more on Latin America in the last, from the past 2 financial years. We are leading a delegation and we are working very closely with our Indian embassies in Latin America. That is one of the focused areas. The another one is the Africa. Africa is always very important. The growing population, and India is more relevant in Africa than any other country. The poor countries and the people can't afford and their economies are not good. So Africa is always very much concerned to India and we have to focus on that. That is the area we keep on working. And
Very specific unreached destination we can say African region.
of the entire African region is our focus area. There are no big manufacturing facilities there. There is an opportunity for us. At the same time, you are very much relevant to them. Any questions? Thank you.
Set up the plants outside India last financial year.
Last financial year we can't say that, but Dr. Reddy's, Hetero, Sun Pharma, Cadila.
Can you number it approximately?
No, I didn't supplement. Actually, it's not my. But what I mean to say, people are going. Aravindo.
But you said regard to that impacts Indian exports.
Yes, definitely it will impact.
So if you mentioned about
being approved by CTSO, sir. So, can you give us some detail on the export scenario of this sector and
Biosimilars, they have license, but they have not yet started doing very well in the international market. These are the licenses issued by the CDSC. If you want that list, we will provide it. It is in CDSC's website.
these products are meant for exports, sir? Just manufacturing here.
No, they are meant for exports as well as for the domestic market. స్పీడ్ అనే దానికన్నా ఇంటరాక్షన్ అందరితో కలిసి డిస్కస్ చేయాలి. ప్రధాన ఉద్దేశం ఏంటంటే ఇండియా ప్రపంచంలో చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ రోల్ ప్లే చేస్తుంది. మనం 200 దేశాలకి మందులు సప్లై చేస్తున్నాం. మనం మందులు సప్లై చేయడం వల్ల పేద దేశాలే కాకుండా ఆర్థికంగా బాగా ముందున్న దేశాలు లైక్ అమెరికా, యూరోప్ కూడా వాళ్ళ హెల్త్ కేర్ ఎక్స్పెన్సెస్ని తగ్గించుకోగలుగుతారు. మనం ఒక 10 సంవత్సరాల క్రితం చూస్తే మన ఎక్స్పోర్ట్స్ 16 బిలియన్, ఇప్పుడు 27.8 బిలియన్ US డాలర్స్. మనం ఈ సంవత్సరం చూసుకున్నప్పుడు ఫైనాన్షియల్ ఇయర్ 24 చూసుకున్నప్పుడు 27.8 బిలియన్ డాలర్లు మనం ఎక్స్పోర్ట్స్ చేసాం విత్ 9.6% గ్రోత్. అంటే ప్రపంచంలో అనుకూలమైన పరిస్థితులు లేకపోయినా మనం భారతదేశంలో ఫార్మస్యూటికల్స్ మనం 200 దేశాలకి ఎంత ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నాం. అలాగే ఫ్యూచర్ కూడా బాగోవాలని అంటే మనం ఈ సాంప్రదాయకమైన జనరిక్ డ్రగ్స్ తయారు చేయడమే కాకుండా న్యూ డ్రగ్స్, రీసెర్చ్, ఇన్నోవేషన్ దానిలో కూడా పనిచేయవలసిన అవసరం ఉంది. సో బై 2030 సో 130 బిలియన్ ఇండియన్ ఫార్మస్యూటికల్ ఇండస్ట్రీ అవ్వాలని, ఎక్స్పోర్ట్స్ 55 బిలియన్ అవ్వాలని. సో దానిలో సందర్భంగా మనం ఈ PLI స్కీమ్ అనేది ఒకటి అనౌన్స్ చేశాం. ఇండియా వేరే దేశాల మీద ఈ ముడి ఔషధాలు బాగా డిపెండ్ అయ్యి దాన్ని తగ్గించడం కోసం మనం సెల్ఫ్ రిలయన్స్ అయ్యి మనం మళ్ళీ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్స్ చేయడం కోసం మనం ఆ స్కీమ్ అనేది ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. ప్రధాన ఉద్దేశం దీంట్లో ఏంటంటే మనం ఫ్యూచర్లో కూడా ఫార్మసీ ఆఫ్ ద వరల్డ్ అనే దాన్ని మనం కంటిన్యూ చేయాలంటే మనం ప్రజెంట్ ఉన్న దాంట్లో ఉండడమే కాకుండా మనం APIs కానీ అంటే ముడి ఔషధాలు కానీ అలాగే ఈ న్యూ డ్రగ్స్ కానీ కాంప్లెక్స్ జనరిక్స్ కానీ ఇటువంటివి డెవలప్ చేయవలసిన అవసరం ఉంది.
ఇప్పుడున్న ఛాలెంజెస్ ఏంటి, వాటిని ఓవర్కమ్ చేయడానికి ఫార్మా ఏ విధంగా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది?
ఛాలెంజెస్ ఈరోజు ఏంటంటే ఇంతకుముందు నేను మాట్లాడినట్టుగా ప్రపంచంలో అన్ని దేశాలు పర్టికులర్గా కోవిడ్ తర్వాత వేరే వాళ్ళ మీద ఆధారపడకూడదు, మనమే చేసుకోవాలని అంటున్నారు. చేయగలిగే వాళ్ళు చేయలేని వాళ్ళు కూడా అదే అంటున్నారు. సో ఆ ట్రెండ్ అనేది కంటిన్యూ అయింది. దట్ ఈస్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ద బిగ్గెస్ట్ ఛాలెంజెస్ ఇండియా. రెండు ఇప్పుడు ఎల్డీసీ స్టేటస్ ఉన్న కంట్రీస్లో ఉన్నాయి. వాళ్ళ ఇండస్ట్రీ స్ట్రాంగ్గా ఉన్న వియత్నాం లేదంటే చైనా, డిఫరెంట్ కంట్రీస్ అండ్ న్యూ ప్లేయర్స్ ఆల్సో మే ఫీచర్. సో మనం వాళ్ళందరూ మనతో కంప్లీట్ చేసేయడానికి ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఎ స్పేస్ లెఫ్ట్ టు ఓన్లీ ఇండియా. ద స్పేస్ ఇస్ ఓపెన్. అంటే ఎవరన్నా వచ్చి ఎవరన్నా కంప్లీట్ చేయగలరు, ఎవరు వచ్చినా ఎవరు స్కిల్. సో దట్ ఈస్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ది బిగ్గెస్ట్ ఛాలెంజ్.
ఒక ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ వచ్చింది, ట్రయల్ అవన్నీ ఈజీ అయిపోయింది. అది ఏ విధంగా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది?
నాకు ఈ ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ గురించి తెలియదు.
అంటే మీ ఫార్మా ఇండస్ట్రీ కూడా
అంటున్నారు. అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఎలా ఉందంటే ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ విల్ రెడ్యూస్ ద టైం, అంటే ఆ స్టడీస్లో కూడా యాక్యురసీ ఇవన్నీ అంటున్నారు. బట్ నాకు అంత డెప్త్ లేదు.
టెక్నాలజీ ఫార్మా ఇండస్ట్రీ కలిసి ఎలా వర్క్ చేస్తారు?
ఎక్స్పోర్ట్స్ లో ఇది ఏ విధంగా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది మనకి? వేరే కంట్రీస్ లో ఆల్రెడీ అడ్వాన్స్ ఉంది కదా.
ఇండస్ట్రీ హ్యాస్ టు టెల్. ఐఎమ్ నాట్ దట్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్.
ఈ ఫార్మా
నాకు మీరు ఆర్టిఫిషియల్ ఇంటెలిజెన్స్ అనగా నాకు భయం పడుతుంది.
అది సరే సార్, ఇప్పుడు ఏమైనా గోల్ పెట్టుకుందా ఫార్మా ఎక్సీల్లో? ఇప్పుడు కొత్త గోల్స్ ఏమైనా పెట్టుకున్నారా మీరు?
అది అంటే 2030కి 57 బిలియన్ 55 బిలియన్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్స్ చేయాలనేది టార్గెట్. ఈ ఫైనాన్షియల్ ఇయర్ 25 31 బిలియన్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేయాలనేది టార్గెట్.
2030కి
55 బిలియన్. అలాగే కొత్త కంట్రీస్ ఏమైతే ఉన్నాయో ఆ కంట్రీస్లో కూడా మన ఫుట్ ప్రింట్స్ ఉండాలి అనే దాంతో ఇప్పుడు మన లాటిన్ అమెరికా లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ దాదాపుగా 100 కంపెనీలు లాటిన్ అమెరికా డెలిగేషన్లో ఈ కంట్రీస్ ఎప్పుడు అంటే. సో అలాగే ఆఫ్రికా, ఇవన్నీ మనం డిఫరెంట్ కంట్రీస్తో మనం వర్క్ చేస్తాం. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే మనం ఇంతకుముందు ఒక 3 ఆఫ్రికన్ కంట్రీస్కి వెళ్ళామనుకోండి, ఆ 3 ఆఫ్రికన్ కంట్రీస్తో వచ్చేసేవాడు. మా ఫార్మేషన్ ప్లాన్ ఏంటంటే ఒక ఆఫ్రికన్ కంట్రీకి మిగిలిన వాళ్ళందరినీ కూడా అక్కడికి వెళ్ళాలి. సో వీ వాంటెడ్ టు రీచ్ అవుట్ టు మోర్ పీపుల్ అన్నమాట.
ఇంకేమైనా కొత్త ప్రపోజల్స్ ఏమైనా ఉన్నాయండి మీ ముందు? గవర్నమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా మీకు పెట్టినవి కానీ, మీరు వాళ్ళకు ప్రపోజ్ చేసినవి కానీ?
మేము గవర్నమెంట్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియాకి పెట్టిన ప్రధానంగా ఈ రీసెర్చ్ అండ్ ఇన్నోవేషన్కి మోర్ ఫండింగ్ ఇవ్వాలి అనేది, దాన్ని ఎంకరేజ్ చేయాలి బాగా అనేది.
అయితే మీరు గవర్నమెంట్ అదే కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వానికి ఇవన్నీ పంపించారు, రిప్లై రావాల్సి ఉంది.